Everyone has played a board game at least once in their life. This one was adopted by the Parker brothers in 1934. As the times change, so have board games. Some classic games have even been updated from their original version. In 2008, Clue released an updated version of the classic game set in a modernized world, where even the characters got a makeover, like Colonel Mustard becoming Jack Mustard, a former football player, and Professor Plum becomes Victor Plum, a billionaire video game designer. But this isn't anything new. Board games have been around for a lot longer than you might think. In fact, paintings of a game called Senet were found in Egyptian burials that date as far back as 3100 BC. An actual Senet game was found in the tomb of the Egyptian pharaoh and resides in the Brooklyn Museum in New York City. Board games became popular in the 1800s. One of the earliest children's board games published in America was designed by Anne Abbott, the daughter of a clergyman from Beverly, Massachusetts. Her game was called The Mansion of Happiness. W. and S&B Ives of Salem, Massachusetts published the game in 1843. It was intended to teach Christian virtues while players rolled dice to get across 66 spaces to reach their goal. The success of The Mansion of Happiness led to other similar moralistic board games that held the view that with Christian virtue and deeds came happiness and success in life. However, the focus of board games would see a dramatic shift with a decade of economic expansion in the 1880s. Wealth became the defining characteristic of American success. In the last decades of the 19th century, the focus of board games became more about everyday life and competitive capitalistic behavior. George S. Parker was born in Salem, Massachusetts, December 12, 1866. He was an American board game inventor and founder of the Parker Brothers Company, which brought us classic games like Clue, Risk, and Monopoly. He believed that games should be played for enjoyment and that they didn't need to emphasize morals and values. Parker published his first game at the age of 16. He modified an old card game and called it banking. Players borrowed money from the bank and used it to try and generate more wealth. When banking became popular among family and friends, George's brother Charles urged him to try and publish it. Even though he couldn't find a publisher, George spent $40 to publish 500 sets of banking, earning him a profit of $100. Parker founded his game company, initially called the George S.Parker Company, in his hometown of Salem, Massachusetts, in 1883. It wouldn't be known as Parker Brothers until 1888, when Charles Parker joined the business with his brother. For many years, George designed most of the games himself and wrote all the rules. He was always looking to update and make games that would reflect the important events of the time, such as the game Klondike, based on the Alaskan Gold Rush. During the Great Depression, the Parker brothers would originally pass on what is probably their best-known game. Monopoly started in the homes of many people in the American Midwest and East Coast who had been playing a game about buying and trading property long before anyone had published it. The first known version of its kind was the Landlord's Game in 1904 by Elizabeth Magie. Her game was meant to demonstrate the effects of a monopoly and the impact of single tax on land. The Landlord's Game had 2 editions, although many households and college students made their own customized copies. Charles Darrow of Philadelphia would capitalize on a version of the game he learned that was being played in Atlantic City. Darrow secured a copyright in 1933 and showed it to the Parker brothers and Milton Bradley. Both companies would pass on the game. The Parker brothers thought it was too complicated and took too long to play. But after Darrow started to take orders from Philadelphia department stores, the Parker brothers reconsidered. Monopoly ended up being the best-selling board game in America and made Darrow the first millionaire game designer in history. George Parker died in Boston, Massachusetts in September of 1952. The company remained family-owned until 1963 when it was purchased by General Mills Company. Parker brothers would continue its success even after George Parker's death. In 1966, they bought all the trademarks and patents of the Ouija Board from the estate of patent holder William Fuld. The first year of production, Ouija boards outsold Monopoly. Over 2 million boards were shipped that year. Then, in 1970, Parker Brothers introduced the world's first official indoor ball. Non-expanding recreational foam, better known as Nerf, became another major national hit. Originally part of a volleyball set, Parker Brothers decided to eliminate everything but the foam ball. More than 4 million Nerf balls were sold its first year. It's easy to lose track of how many times Parker Brothers has changed ownership over the years, eventually ending with the company shutting down its headquarters in Salem. In 1963, General Mills purchased the company from the Parker Brothers. Then, in 1985, General Mills merged the company with their subsidiary, Kenner. This new company, Kenner Parker Toys, Inc., was acquired by Tonka in 1987. Then Tonka, including Parker Brothers, was bought by Hasbro in 1991. Memory of the Parker Brothers is fading fast in Salem, Massachusetts. A reminder used to stand on 190 Bridge Street, across from the old Salem jail. The Parker Brothers factory stood there for more than 100 years. The company was founded here in 1883, and at its peak had more than 1,000 employees. Today, Salem's connection to the Parker Brothers is nearly gone. The original building was closed in 1994. With no use for a factory that was geared toward making games, it was eventually torn down. The land was sold off to make multi-building apartment complexes. If Salem won't remind people that it all started here, who will? Nowadays, when you look at a Parker Brothers game, the word Salem, Mass. Are nowhere to be found. Younger generations playing these games for the first time will have no idea that it all started in Salem. When the factory went, so did Salem's connection to the Parker Brothers. There's no museum, displays, or even tributes to remind people of the city's history of providing the world with some of the greatest games of all time. If you'd like to visit a Parker Brothers related site in Salem, there's not too many places to go. You can always do what I did. Visit the Parker Brothers gravesite at 30 Grove Street, Salem, Mass. Located in the U Avenue section inside the cemetery lies a memorial and reminder that the Parker Brothers once had a strong presence in this city. Next time you're in Salem, make this one of your stops and help keep the Parker Brothers name alive in its hometown.